My name is Thom, and in 2016, my father, Thom, was diagnosed with ALS, and in June of 2017, he passed away from ALS. And obviously, the news was life-changing from not only myself, but our entire family. Everything that you think you're going to get to accomplish as a family, everything you think you're going to get to experience, obviously changes very quickly when you hear the news. And one thing that was really interesting to me was, the lack of knowledge that we had about the disease. It's something that when I heard the 3 letters, I didn't really understand. My dad had such an amazing attitude about his diagnosis. Obviously, when you're faced with such an extreme reality, it can't be easy, and it certainly wasn't easy for our family, but his attitude is certainly the biggest reason I think that my mother and I got through it so strongly and are able to continue on today fighting for the disease. It's one of those promises we made him before he passed away, to keep continuing to fight for ALS. And throughout the remaining year and a half of his life with ALS, he did a lot of things personally to do that as well. He was part of a lot of research studies. He was really giving with his time. Obviously, you're not always certain how much time you have left with a diagnosis like ALS. And so it's always inspiring for me to see his courage and his strength to be able to donate as much time as needed, so that maybe he could be of help to maybe not himself, but to anybody who is going to be suffering from this disease in the future. And, throughout the last year and a half, he also found time to write a book that we're getting published right now, that kind of talks about his life and the reality of when you're given such an extreme diagnosis, what that does for you, how that changes the perspective on the life you have and how you're going to continue to live it going forward. And certainly for myself, that was a big reality shift. When I was, 17, 18 years old, a lot of people are thinking about things such as, what are you going to do with your life? Where are you going to go to school for? And a lot of things like that. And for me, I found myself really starting to think harder about the life I wanted to live and how I wanted to live it going forward. And as hard of a pill as it is to swallow, losing your father at such a young age, there are a lot of things that I look back on, and I'm grateful for the lessons he taught me, and just the reality that I had to quickly realize, which is that we're all going to die. And that's something that can sound cliche, but I definitely try to live my entire life around that acknowledgement now, and enjoy all the little things and the small things, the little moments. I think, one of the major realizations for me that just affirmed how real this all was when my dad couldn't make a cup of coffee in the morning for himself anymore. It's such a little thing that we all take so much for granted, I think, as people. And when you really get to see someone not be able to do something so small, or even stretch in the morning, you have to help him out of bed. And for him to be able to have a smile on his face the whole time as well makes me really grateful for my ability to continue to do those little things. And I find that, seeing someone that close to me, my best friend, go through that has made me appreciate those little things a lot more than I would have had I not seen all that. My mother and I made a big promise to my dad, and that we were going to continue fighting for this disease. And so we try to do as much as we can, whether that's talking to families who need it, who need support, just need someone to listen, or I'm a filmmaker, and I'm currently in development of a documentary series about ALS and families going through the disease, so that we can really show the reality of how harsh it can be, but also the courage that families need to have to get through this every day. It takes a lot of courage for people to wake up and put a smile on their face and to keep going. And obviously ALS is such a vast disease that every scenario is different. Everybody's case is a little bit different, and it affects people differently. And so really wanting to showcase that and showcase some of the challenges that the ALS societies and researchers are having with developing drugs and cures. I hope that a lot of these projects that we continue to go forward with as a family can build some awareness around that at the very least. It might not bring a cure tomorrow, but if we can just build some awareness around the disease and families going through it and give them some hope, or give them some sense of feeling like they've been heard, I think that's really big for why we're keeping going forward. In the documentary series that I'm developing, we really want to focus on showcasing not just the harsh realities of the disease and how it affects the individual, but how it affects the family. And we always said it was a family disease. My dad said from the beginning, this is going to affect all of us. And for us, that really, brought us together a lot closer and made us remember to be there for each other and realize that it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to have an off day and not be 100% every day. And it really, I think that realization was key for us to get through this. I think it was certainly the reason my mom and I could get through it. I think my dad was so strong and courageous and so positive about this diagnosis he was given, and this that it makes me think today, what do I have to complain about, really? It's awakened a real appreciation for the little things that I can do every day. Make a cup of coffee, stretch in the morning, go for a walk, that I had to watch him get stripped of those basic functions that we all have, that we just take so for granted. And for me, that's probably the biggest thing it taught me. Bigger in big ways or small ways, I think any way anybody can help this disease is really important. And I think it's crucial. I think we all need to keep fighting for this disease, and that's a promise I made to my dad, and my mom and I both made that promise to him, and we're going to continue it, and we're going to keep going forward.